Your future won't change by hoping, only by becoming someone strong enough to shape it. Comfort is a trap disguised as a reward. Choose effort instead. Growth lives where resistance begins. Go there and stay there. What if life isn't supposed to get easier? What if the real solution isn't waiting for your problems to shrink, but pushing yourself to grow stronger? What if the reason you're stuck is because you keep hoping things will calm down, instead of stepping up and doing what needs to be done? The truth is, most people waste time wishing for comfort when they should be chasing growth. They wait for the perfect time, the right mood, or for someone else to make it easier. But that day never comes. The pressure won't go away, the demands won't stop, and life won't pause just because you're tired. The only way out is to get better, more focused, more disciplined, more relentless. This isn't about surviving, it's about building a version of yourself that can handle more. If you're tired of feeling stuck, then stop waiting for things to change. Start changing yourself. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Take control of your life by getting stronger daily. Most people walk through life hoping things get easier. They wait for the right moment. They wait for people to understand them. They wait for conditions to be perfect. But life does not reward waiting. It rewards action. It rewards growth. It rewards strength. And strength comes from what you do every day, not what you hope will happen someday. If you want things to get better, you must get better first. If you want change, you must change. No one is responsible for your growth but you. The moment you understand that, your life begins to shift. You stop blaming other people. You stop complaining about how hard it is. You stop making excuses. You take responsibility. You take control. That is the beginning of real power. That is when you stop reacting to life and start leading it. You don't need everything to fall into place. You need to rise above where you are now. Getting stronger daily is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about doing the hard things even when no one notices. It's about showing up for yourself every single day, when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's painful. Strength is built through effort, through discipline, through doing what you don't feel like doing. When you keep doing that over time, your life begins to change. Not overnight, but steadily. Day by day, you have the power to choose how you respond to life. You can choose frustration, or you can choose growth. You can choose distraction, or you can choose discipline. You can choose to stay stuck, or you can choose to rise. That choice is yours, and it's made in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. It's made in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the times when quitting feels easier, but you push through anyway. That is how strength is built. No one becomes strong by accident. It takes a decision, a commitment, and that decision has to be made daily. You don't grow by doing what's easy. You grow by doing what's necessary, even when it hurts, even when it's uncomfortable. If you wait for motivation, you'll never start. But if you build habits, you won't need motivation. You'll act because it's who you are. Take an honest look at your habits. What are you doing with your time? What are you feeding your mind? What are you doing when no one is telling you what to do? That's where your strength is being built or broken. It's not the big things. It's the little things done consistently. Reading one more page, doing one more rep, turning off distractions, saying no when you need to, saying yes when it matters. Those choices define your life. Discipline is not punishment. It's power. It gives you control over your direction. It teaches you how to act with purpose. When you learn discipline, you stop chasing quick results. You start building long-term success. You stop depending on others. You stop relying on luck. You create your future by showing up every day, stronger than yesterday. Getting stronger daily also means facing your weakness, not hiding from it, not pretending it's not there. You need to know what is holding you back. You need to know what part of you needs work, and then you go to work on it. That is how you grow, by being honest, by being intentional, by being focused on improvement, instead of comfort. People will tell you to take it easy. They'll say you deserve to rest. They'll tell you you're doing fine. But deep down, you know when you're holding back. You know when you're not giving your best. You know when you're avoiding the hard path. And only you can change that. Only you can push yourself beyond your limits. Only you can raise your standards. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. You don't need to compete with the world. You need to compete with your own potential. Every day is a chance to get closer to who you are meant to be. And that happens only if you choose growth over comfort. Every single day, growth hurts. It stretches you. It challenges you. It forces you to let go of who you were. But it also rewards you. It builds confidence. It builds character. It builds peace. You look in the mirror and know that you earned your progress. No one gave it to you. You worked for it. You earned it. That feeling cannot be bought. It must be built. Take control of your emotions. Stop letting your mood decide your behavior. Start deciding your mood through your actions. You don't feel confident. Act with confidence anyway. You don't feel strong. Do what strong people do. You don't feel motivated. Move anyway. The feeling will follow the action, but it starts with what you choose to do. Every decision you make shapes who you are becoming. Are you choosing things that make you stronger or weaker? Are you saying yes to growth or yes to comfort? Are you pushing yourself forward or letting yourself slide backward? That is what taking control looks like. It's not always dramatic. It's often quiet, but it's always deliberate. Look around at your life. Every area that feels out of control is asking you to get stronger. Whether it's your body, your mind, your work, your relationships. It's not waiting for luck. It's waiting for your strength. And you don't find that strength in one day. You build it every day, one action at a time, one habit at a time, one choice at a time. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a strong reason. A reason to wake up and fight for your life. A reason to stop settling. A reason to raise your standard. Find that reason. Hold on to it. Let it drive your actions. Let it shape your days. When your reason is strong enough, your excuses won't survive. The truth is simple. If you want a better life, you must become a better person. Not better in appearance. Better in discipline. Better in action. Better in how you manage your time. Better in how you face fear. Better in how you respond to pain. That version of you exists, but you will not find them. You must build them. No more waiting. No more hoping. No more blaming. Decide today that you are done with weakness, done with excuses, done with wasting time. Decide that every day from now on, you will get stronger. Even if it's just one step, even if it's hard, even if no one notices, you will notice. And that's enough. You do not need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Strength is built in motion. And when you move forward, everything else begins to shift. Your confidence grows. Your habits improve. Your results change. But none of that happens until you take control and start getting stronger every single day. Number 2, build your mind through hard and honest learning. The mind is not something you're born with fully shaped. It is built, and how you build it determines how far you go. Not just in your work, not just in your income, but in every area of your life. A strong mind gives you the ability to think clearly, act wisely, and make decisions that move your life forward. But that strength doesn't come from wishing or pretending. It comes from learning. And learning is not always comfortable. It is not always fun, but it is always necessary. Most people want the rewards of knowledge without the effort of learning. They want the answers without asking the questions. They want confidence without doing the work that earns it. But there is no shortcut to a powerful mind. You must study. You must reflect. You must dig deep into what is true, not just what feels good. That's the honest part. You don't grow mentally by feeding your ego. You grow by facing the truth. Honest learning means you admit what you don't know. You stop pretending you have it figured out. You listen more than you talk. You ask the hard questions, even when they challenge your beliefs. That's where growth lives, in the uncomfortable space between who you are and who you could be. And the only way to bridge that gap is through learning that demands your full attention and effort. Every day you are either building your mind or letting it weaken. There is no pause button. If you're not reading, reflecting, writing, asking, and thinking, your mind starts to drift. It becomes reactive. It accepts whatever it hears. It loses clarity. It stops growing. And when the mind stops growing, everything else follows. Your goals shrink. Your standards lower. Your energy drops. You stop expecting more from yourself. Learning requires work. It's not enough to just consume information. You have to process it. You have to ask what it means to you. You have to apply it. Knowledge that sits unused is wasted, but knowledge that is lived becomes wisdom. That is what you want to build. A mind that knows how to live well, that understands how life works, that can handle pressure. Stay focused, think deeply, and respond with strength. You have to study people. You have to study your own behavior. You have to study your past and learn from your mistakes. That's how you sharpen your mind. By not repeating the same lessons. By paying attention. By writing down what worked, what didn't, and why. Most people never do this. They go through life repeating the same habits and wondering why things never change. But you can change if you're willing to learn hard truths about yourself. That kind of learning is not easy. It's uncomfortable to see your weaknesses. It's painful to admit when you've wasted time. It's frustrating to face the results of poor decisions. But it's also powerful, because once you see clearly, you can correct, you can shift, you can improve. That's the gift of an honest mind. It shows you what needs to be done instead of what you wish were true. You must protect your mental space. Your mind is not a dumping ground for noise. Be careful what you listen to, what you read, who you spend time with. Fill your mind with things that stretch it, things that challenge you to grow. Cut out the constant distractions. Reduce the time you spend on shallow content. Train your mind to focus, to reflect, to go deep. That's where the breakthroughs happen. Building your mind also means being patient. Learning does not give you instant results. It is a process. You don't feel smarter after one good book. You don't become wise after one conversation. But over time, those small efforts stack up. Your thinking sharpens. Your decisions improve. You become more precise with your time, more selective with your energy, more aware of your path. And that shift changes everything. When you invest time in learning, you become less reactive. You stop making decisions based on emotion and start making them based on understanding. That gives you control. That gives you peace. You don't panic when things go wrong because you know how to think. You don't follow the crowd because you know how to question. You don't quit when it gets tough because you've studied the path and prepared for it. There is power in knowing you can rely on your own mind. That no matter what happens around you, you have the tools to respond wisely. That comes from years of building it through study, through challenge, through effort. It does not come from shortcuts. It does not come from comfort. It comes from hard work, done daily, done honestly, done with intention. The people who go far in life are not always the most talented, but they are the ones who never stop learning. They are the ones who seek out mentors, read the hard books, ask uncomfortable questions, and listen without needing to be right. They are not afraid to admit when they were wrong. They are not ashamed to start again with better understanding. That is what separates them, not their background, not their luck, their willingness to grow. Make it a daily practice. Set aside time to learn, even if it's just an hour. Read something that sharpens your thinking. Write about what you learned. Talk about it with someone who challenges you. The mind grows through use, just like a muscle. And if you stop using it, it becomes weak. Keep feeding it with depth. Keep pushing it to understand more. Learning also means letting go of old beliefs. You have to be willing to update your understanding as you grow. Just because something made sense 10 years ago doesn't mean it still serves you. Be open to new insight. Be willing to see things differently. That flexibility is strength, not weakness. It keeps your mind young. It keeps your thinking sharp. It keeps you ahead. There is no greater advantage in life than a trained mind. Not a gifted one. Not a lucky one. A trained one. A mind that has been tested, shaped and strengthened through learning that demands your full attention. Build that kind of mind, and your life begins to change, not by chance, but by choice. Every day, quietly, deliberately, through honest and consistent learning. Number 3. Push through pain by choosing growth over comfort. Most people stop at pain. They feel discomfort and pull back. They hit resistance and retreat. They take the easier path and call it peace. But that comfort becomes a trap. It steals your potential quietly. It tells you to settle. It convinces you to lower your expectations. But nothing great has ever come from choosing the easier option. Real growth demands that you move through difficulty, not around it. You must understand that pain is not your enemy. Pain is a signal. It tells you there's something to learn, something to overcome, something to grow into. But most avoid it. They numb it. They run from it. They pretend it's not there. But avoidance doesn't solve anything. It delays the change that needs to happen. If you truly want to evolve, you must be willing to face what hurts and move through it with purpose. You cannot grow while clinging to comfort. Growth requires tension. It requires discomfort. It forces you to let go of the easy habits and replace them with ones that stretch you. That process is never smooth. It will test your patience. It will challenge your mindset. But if you keep going despite the pain, you come out stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel strong. There will be days when everything inside you says stop. But that's the moment you must push. Because that push is where the change begins. That effort, in the middle of discomfort, rewires your belief system. It tells your mind you're capable of more than you thought. It proves to you that you're no longer ruled by fear or weakness. Pain will not go away on its own. If you avoid it today, it returns tomorrow, often heavier. But if you walk through it, if you embrace it, if you use it as a tool, you take its power and make it your own. Every struggle you face is a chance to build endurance. Every challenge is a mirror showing you how badly you want to improve. And if you keep choosing growth, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. Comfort feels good now, but it costs you later. It's the missed opportunity. It's the goal you never reached. It's the version of you that never came to life. Growth is uncomfortable now, but it pays you back with strength, with clarity, with purpose. The more you lean into challenge, the more you develop grit, and grit is what carries you when motivation fades. You are not here to play small. You are not here to do just enough. You are here to become the best version of yourself. And that version is hiding behind the pain you've been avoiding. Face it directly. Walk into the hard conversations. Tackle the difficult tasks. Sit with your fear long enough to understand it. Use every ounce of discomfort as fuel for your transformation. Push yourself to stay present when it hurts. Don't check out. Don't distract yourself. Learn to sit with pain long enough to learn from it. Pain often teaches what comfort hides. It reveals what's been neglected. It forces you to pay attention. That awareness is your first step to change. If you can understand the root of your struggle, you can shift it. But that takes courage. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that shows up when no one's watching. There will be moments when quitting feels logical, when giving up looks easier. But those are the moments where winners are made, not by talent, but by persistence. Not by shortcuts, but by endurance. You must decide what matters more: immediate relief or long-term progress. Choose the path that builds your character, even if it slows you down today. Growth compounds, but only for those who keep going. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to do what's hard, willing to make sacrifices, willing to face rejection, failure, and fear. Each time you choose progress over comfort, you are becoming more capable. You are shaping a future where you are in charge. Not your emotions, not your doubts, not your past. That kind of future is earned, not given. Train your mind to see pain as feedback, not as punishment. not as a problem, but as a guide. Ask yourself what this pain is trying to teach you. Is it showing you where your limits are? Is it exposing an area that needs work? Is it testing your commitment? Use that insight to take your next step. Don't stall. Don't spiral. Use the pain to adjust, then advance. You must stop waiting for things to feel easier. Life won't always give you a break, but you can give yourself an edge by becoming resilient, by developing the strength to keep going when it's heavy, by choosing discipline over emotion. Pain fades. Growth stays. Let that guide your decisions. Every time you endure something hard, you are laying down the foundation for a stronger future. It's easy to want the result. Everyone wants the outcome. Few want the process. But the process is where your transformation happens. The process is where you develop habits, mindset, control, and strength. And that process is full of pain, but it's also full of power. If you stay in it long enough, it reshapes you. Not just how you look or what you achieve, but how you think, how you handle life, how you lead others. You must stop chasing comfort. Comfort lies to you. It says you're okay where you are. It tells you that you don't need to try hard. But deep down you know that voice is false. You know you were meant for more. And the only way to access that more is by pushing through what's hard. Even when it's slow, even when it's exhausting, especially then. Growth is not about never falling. It's about rising every time, even if you're tired, even if it hurts. You rise because you made a decision to evolve. And every step forward is proof that you meant it. That's how you create real momentum. Not with bursts of motivation, but with steady progress made through pain. You must raise your standards. Stop settling for what's easy. Set the bar higher. Make yourself do what's difficult. The moment you get used to challenge, it stops feeling like pain and starts feeling like progress. You stop fearing effort and start craving it. You start chasing that edge because you know it's where the growth is. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can walk through your pain. You have to do it yourself. But you don't have to do it alone. Learn from others. Stay around people who challenge you. Surround yourself with those who are committed to growth. Let their example remind you that pain is temporary, but growth is forever. Push beyond your limits, not to impress anyone, but to meet the person you're becoming. There is a stronger version of you waiting, but you must go through what you're avoiding to reach them. That's the price, and it's worth it. Every struggle, every setback, every hard decision, when faced with strength, brings you closer to that future. Stop asking for things to get easier. Start asking how you can get stronger. Ask what needs to change inside you. Ask what habits must die. Ask what thoughts you need to stop believing. That's how you push through. That's how you rise. That's how you build the kind of life you can be proud of. Number 4. Develop real discipline by doing what you avoid. Discipline is not something you talk about. It's something you live. It is built every time you face something you don't want to do and choose to do it anyway. That is where the real strength is. Not in what comes easy. Not in what feels good. But in what you've been putting off. In what you've convinced yourself can wait. In what you've avoided because it makes you uncomfortable or uncertain. That space right there is where discipline is built. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for a good mood. They wait until the pressure builds. But discipline is not about waiting. It is about moving before the feeling comes. It is about doing what is necessary, even when there is no excitement behind it. Especially then, it's getting up early when you want more sleep. It's starting the work you don't enjoy. It's facing a responsibility you've ignored. Discipline is born in those exact moments. Every time you avoid something, you give it power. You make it bigger in your mind. You train yourself to run from discomfort. But when you turn around and do what you've been resisting, you take that power back. You prove to yourself that you are not ruled by emotion, by fear, or by habit. You show yourself that you can take command of your time and choices. That's discipline, not perfect habits, but consistent action in the face of resistance. There are things in your life you know you should be doing. You don't need someone to tell you. You've already felt it. You've already heard that quiet voice in your mind reminding you. Maybe it's making that call. Maybe it's starting that workout. Maybe it's cleaning up a mess you've been ignoring. These are not big things by themselves, but they represent your mindset. They reveal whether you're controlling your behavior or letting your impulses decide for you. If you really want discipline, start with those things. The small tasks that don't feel urgent but hold your progress back. The conversations you keep delaying. The decisions you've avoided making. Each one is a test. Each one is a chance to strengthen your will. When you do them, even if you do them poorly, you create momentum, and momentum matters more than motivation. Discipline does not come from information. It comes from action. You can read all the books. You can listen to every speaker. But until you act on what you've been avoiding, nothing changes. Because the mind doesn't learn from knowing. It learns from doing. It gets stronger through repetition, through practice, through decisions made one after another, especially when they are hard. Avoidance is a form of surrender. It's letting fear win in silence. It's letting time slip away in exchange for short-term relief. But that relief comes with a price. It eats at your self-respect. It weakens your ability to trust yourself. You know when you've avoided something. You feel it. You carry that weight. And the only way to get rid of it is by taking action, honest, uncomfortable, necessary action. That is where discipline lives. In the decision to stop escaping. In the moment you stand up and walk into what you've been putting off. It doesn't matter how small the task is. What matters is that you face it, that you stop letting it grow into a mountain in your mind. Because when you take action, it shrinks. It becomes manageable. You see it for what it is, something you had the power to handle all along. You must build the habit of doing things you don't want to do. Not for the outcome, but for who you become in the process. Because every time you choose discipline, you train your mind to obey direction, not emotion. You make it easier to act again the next time. You develop a stronger identity, one that says, I follow through. I don't escape. I do what needs to be done. That's how leaders are built. That's how confidence is earned. Start small if you have to. Start with the drawer you haven't cleaned, the document you haven't opened, the message you haven't replied to. Start where you are, but start and keep going. Because the more you confront what you avoid, the more control you gain. You no longer get pushed around by procrastination. You stop giving excuses a seat at the table. You take full ownership of your life, task by task. Discipline also means saying no to distractions. Saying no to what steals your time without your awareness. Saying no to what drains your focus. This isn't about being rigid, it's about being clear. Clear about what matters. Clear about how you spend your hours. Clear about the price of delay. Because once you see how much time you've lost avoiding small things, you realize how much power you could have built by now. Avoidance thrives on confusion. Discipline thrives on clarity. Be clear with yourself. Write down what you've been avoiding. Put it where you can see it. Don't hide from it. Face it with intention. Choose a time. Set a deadline. Take the first step, even if it's clumsy. Because once you act, the mental fog begins to lift. And when the mind is clear, discipline has room to grow. There's a deeper level of satisfaction that comes when you complete something you've resisted. It's not pride. It's not ego. It's peace. The kind of peace that says you're living with integrity, that your actions match your values, that you are not just thinking about change, you are becoming it. That kind of discipline can't be faked. It is felt. It is known. It is earned through honest effort. You must stop waiting for the perfect mood. You must stop telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. If it matters, it must be done today. Right now, even if you only work on it for 5 minutes. Because that 5 minutes is you breaking the pattern. That 5 minutes is you starting to live differently. And that decision is what transforms your habits over time. Discipline is not about punishment. It's not about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about honoring your commitments. It's about keeping your word to yourself. Because when you do what you avoid, you send a message to your own mind. I can trust myself again. I will not lie to myself anymore. I do what I say I will do. And that message begins to change how you show up in every part of life. There is no finish line to discipline. It must be renewed daily. It must be built again every morning. You don't get to keep it without effort. But the more you act in alignment with it, the easier it becomes to sustain. Because it becomes your identity. Not something you try to do, but something you are. And that kind of shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repeated courage. Doing what you don't want to do, over and over, until it becomes who you are. Stop treating avoidance like a minor thing. It's not small. It's a thief. It steals time, energy, growth, and self-respect. Take it seriously. Confront it. Replace it with deliberate action. Not dramatic action. Just real, honest, consistent action. That's where discipline is created. That's how discipline grows. That's how you stop drifting and start leading your own life. Number 5. Raise your standards by demanding more from yourself. There comes a time when you have to look at your life and ask a very serious question. Is this really the best I can do? Not the best compared to anyone else. Not the best by the world's standards. The best you can do. Because the truth is, most people settle way too early. They settle for average. They settle for habits that feel safe. They settle for routines that are built for comfort, not progress. But if you want real change, you have to raise your standards. And that means you start expecting more from yourself than anyone else ever will. Nobody is going to force you to grow. Nobody is going to walk into your room and say, it's time to level up. That responsibility is yours. And raising your standards begins with refusing to accept what you know is beneath your potential. It means getting honest about where you've been cutting corners, where you've been making excuses, where you've been telling yourself this is enough, when deep down you know you're playing small. When you demand more from yourself, you stop settling for just finishing something. You push for mastery, you work until you're proud. You show up early, you stay focused. You stop waiting for praise. You stop looking for shortcuts. You take full responsibility for the outcome. Whether it's fitness, business, character, learning, or relationships, you stop doing just what's required and start doing what's excellent. Look at your current standards. Are you satisfied with the level of effort you're giving? Are you proud of how you use your time? Are your daily actions aligned with your long-term goals? These are the kinds of questions you have to ask if you want more from life. Because the world won't give you more until you give yourself more. Until you prove that you're serious, that you're consistent, that you're willing to do what others won't. Raising your standards means you stop tolerating your own bad habits. You stop accepting laziness. You stop accepting emotional reactions that hurt your progress. You stop making decisions based on how you feel in the moment and start acting based on what your values demand. That's what it means to live with higher standards. It's not about being perfect. It's about never staying comfortable with less than your best. You don't raise your standards in a single moment. You raise them by choosing the hard path over the easy one, over and over again. You raise them every time you choose to follow through instead of quitting halfway. You raise them every time you commit to doing it right instead of rushing through. You raise them when you stop accepting good enough and begin aiming for excellence in everything you touch. This starts with small decisions. The way you talk to yourself in the morning, the food you eat, the effort you give to your work, the way you treat people when nobody's watching. These are not minor details. These are the foundation of who you become. Because when you raise your standards, it doesn't just change what you do. It changes what you expect from yourself every single day. High standards force you to grow. They push you out of average behavior. They challenge your comfort zones. They make you reflect. They make you act with purpose. When you expect more from yourself, you begin to break patterns. You don't leave tasks half-finished. You don't give up when it's hard. You don't hide from responsibility. You don't tolerate weak effort. You also stop surrounding yourself with people who pull you down. Because when your standards go up, your tolerance for excuses goes down. You stop spending time in places that make you soft. You stop participating in conversations that lead nowhere. You seek out people who hold themselves to a high level, because you understand that their energy sharpens you. It pushes you. It reminds you of who you want to be. You're not going to build a strong life by keeping low expectations. You're not going to get ahead by hoping things change. The only way forward is to raise the bar on how you live, to raise the bar on how you think, to raise the bar on how you act when nobody's watching. You begin demanding more effort, more consistency, more courage, more resilience. And when you fall short, which you will, you don't shrink back. You don't use failure as an excuse. You look at it as feedback. You learn, you adjust, and you go again. This time stronger, this time wiser. That's what high standards do. They don't allow you to settle into weakness. They force you to improve. They force you to face what's holding you back. It is not enough to want more. You have to require more from yourself. You have to set a higher level of performance and live up to it even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because that's when it matters. That's when you separate yourself from the crowd. Not when it's convenient, when it's difficult, when it's draining, when it would be easier to back off. And you push forward anyway. You start creating standards for how you respond under pressure, for how you carry yourself in public and in private, for how you follow through on commitments, for how you speak to others, for how you think in stressful moments. And the more you keep these standards, the more trust you build with yourself. And when that trust is strong, your confidence grows. Your belief in yourself becomes real, because it's based on results. Don't lower your standards to match your surroundings. Don't shrink your vision to make others feel comfortable. If you want a better life, you have to rise above what's easy. That means waking up earlier. That means working when you don't feel like it. That means learning even when you're tired. That means cleaning up every area of your life where you've allowed mediocrity to take root. If your relationships aren't healthy, raise your standards for how you communicate and what you allow. If your finances are out of control, raise your standards for how you spend, how you plan, how you earn. If your health is failing, raise your standards for what you put in your body and how you treat it. There is no mystery here. Every area improves when you stop accepting weak effort from yourself. Your life begins to transform when your standards become non-negotiable, when you no longer need external motivation, when you act because that's who you are. That shift when your identity rises to meet your ambition is when things really start to change. Not because of luck, not because of help, but because you stopped making excuses and started living by a new set of rules. Your own. People around you might not understand it. They might say you're doing too much, that you should relax, that you're too serious. But that's only because they're not used to someone refusing to settle. They're not used to someone who walks away from comfort on purpose. But you know why you're doing it. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're building something real. And that requires you to demand more, every single day. Number 6. Face your weaknesses and train them into strength. We all have weaknesses. Every single person. You are no exception. No matter how successful someone appears to be, they have areas in their life where they struggle. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that the successful ones are perfect. It's that they choose to face their weaknesses and work to improve them. They don't hide from them. They don't deny their existence. They don't pretend they're not there. They face them head on. And that's what makes all the difference. When you avoid your weaknesses, you avoid growth. You avoid the opportunity to become better. We all have things we're not good at, areas we'd rather not think about. Maybe it's your communication skills, your ability to manage time, your emotional control, or your physical health. But these weaknesses are not permanent unless you let them be. They can be transformed into strengths if you make the decision to face them and put in the work. Most people shy away from their weaknesses. They try to cover them up, ignore them, or simply hope they'll go away on their own. But that's not how growth happens. Weaknesses don't disappear because we pretend they're not there. They get worse. They grow stronger. They hold us back in ways we don't even realize. If you want to take control of your life, You must stop running from what makes you uncomfortable. You must stop ignoring the areas where you're not yet strong. The first step is acceptance. Accept that you have weaknesses. Understand that nobody is perfect, and it's okay not to be perfect. In fact, embracing your weaknesses is one of the most empowering things you can do. It's when you acknowledge what needs improvement that you create an opportunity for growth. That's when the process of training your weaknesses begins. You can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. It's like trying to repair a broken machine while pretending nothing is wrong. You have to face the problem first. Once you acknowledge your weaknesses, the next step is to confront them. It's time to stop pretending they're not there. If you're bad at time management, stop making excuses for why you can't stick to a schedule. If you struggle with your health, stop saying you'll start tomorrow and take action today. If you lack self-discipline, stop telling yourself that you'll be more disciplined next week. The time to act is now. Weaknesses don't improve by waiting for the right time. They improve by consistent action. No matter how small, facing your weaknesses can be uncomfortable. It can be difficult. It can be discouraging. But the growth that comes from facing these challenges is unmatched. When you work on what you're bad at, you expand your capabilities. You learn things you didn't know about yourself. You discover that you are stronger than you think. The more you face your weaknesses, the less power they have over you. They no longer define you. They become areas of strength. Your weaknesses turn into something that empowers you because you chose to train them rather than be controlled by them. To train your weaknesses, you need to make a plan. Don't just wait for motivation to magically appear. You need a strategy. Break down what you're weak at and identify the steps you can take to improve. If your weakness is time management, start by creating a daily schedule. If your weakness is fitness, start with small, consistent workouts. Don't expect drastic change overnight. Training your weaknesses into strengths takes time and patience, but the results are worth it. Small steps every day will add up to big improvements over time. You also need to be patient with yourself. It's easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing immediate results, but improvement doesn't happen in a straight line. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you don't make progress. That's okay. What matters is that you keep going. Every time you fail and get back up, you're getting stronger. Every time you face a challenge and push through it, you're building the resilience you need to succeed. The key to turning your weaknesses into strengths is consistency. You can't work on something for a week and expect it to change. You have to make it a habit. You have to commit to showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. It's the daily action, no matter how small, that creates real change. The more consistent you are, the more progress you'll make. Over time, what was once a weakness will become a strength, and that strength will become a part of who you are. Another important aspect of training your weaknesses is the mindset you approach them with. It's easy to feel defeated when you're working on something you struggle with. It's easy to tell yourself, "I'll never be good at this," or "I'm just not capable." But that kind of thinking keeps you stuck. You must believe that you can improve. You must believe that your weaknesses are not permanent, and that with enough effort you can change. The mind is incredibly powerful, and if you tell yourself that you can't change, you won't. But if you believe that you can grow, you will. The more you face your weaknesses, the more you realize that they don't define you. They are just areas of growth waiting to happen. Weaknesses are not the enemy. They're opportunities for development. When you train your weaknesses, you stop letting them hold you back. You take control. You take ownership. You choose to be better. If you're struggling with something, don't hide from it. Don't run from it. Don't let it continue to sabotage your life. Face it, confront it, work through it. When you do, you'll see that the power to change has always been within you. You just had to be willing to face it and take action. Every weakness you overcome makes you stronger. Every challenge you face adds another layer to your resilience. And with each layer, you build a foundation for even greater strength. Number 7. Improve your skills through relentless, daily practice. If you want to get better at anything, there is one rule that always works. Practice every single day. Not once a week, not when you feel inspired, not when it's convenient, every single day. And not just practice, but focused, intentional practice. The kind that challenges you. The kind that makes you sharper. The kind that slowly transforms you into someone who has real control over their ability. Most people want to be great, but they don't want to do the work that greatness demands. They want improvement, but they don't want repetition. They want results, but they don't want the boring parts. That mindset never leads to mastery. If something matters to you, then you owe it to yourself to work on it daily. That means you show up, whether you feel like it or not. It means you stop depending on mood and start depending on consistency. Real growth doesn't come from random effort. It comes from sustained commitment. You take what you're trying to get better at, and you make it part of your daily routine. You don't wait for perfection. You start small, and you stay steady. Skill does not appear overnight. Skill is built one day at a time. The problem is, most people want to be excellent without doing what excellence requires. They say they want to be great communicators, but they don't spend time each day working on how they speak or how they listen. They say they want to be leaders, but they avoid learning how to handle people, pressure, and decision-making. They say they want success, but they treat their preparation like a side hobby. You can't get better by accident. You have to get better on purpose. You have to decide that each day matters, and then you use that day well. There is something powerful about repetition. When you do something again and again, your mind adapts. Your hands become faster. Your thinking gets clearer. Your movements become smoother. You stop needing to think about the basics because they become second nature. That's what practice does. It burns something into you. It makes you dependable under pressure. It gives you confidence that doesn't rely on hype or talk, but on proof. You know you've put in the work, and that confidence becomes your foundation. Daily practice also teaches you discipline. It forces you to stick with something even when it's no longer exciting. It keeps you grounded. Most people quit when things get repetitive, but that's when the real development happens. That's when you move past the surface and start getting deeper results. Discipline gives you the power to stay the course. It separates those who merely start from those who follow through. You also need to track your progress. You need to know where you're improving and where you're not. Feedback is important, even if it's uncomfortable. If you don't know what's working and what's not, you're just guessing. Improvement requires clarity. You can't fix what you don't examine. Look at your results honestly. Ask yourself what needs more attention. Look at the parts that are holding you back and isolate them. Then target those areas with focus. That's how real improvement happens. Skill is a responsibility. If you want to contribute something meaningful, you need to sharpen your craft. Whether it's your ability to speak, to think, to write, to lead, to organize, or to execute. Whatever it is, that skill needs your effort. When you practice every day, you take your potential seriously. You stop treating your gift like a wish and start treating it like a job. And that shift in mindset makes all the difference. Nobody gets good at anything by accident. The most skilled people are the most consistent ones. Even if your practice time is short, make it meaningful. Quality always matters more than quantity. 5 focused minutes will always beat an hour of distracted effort. And if you keep stacking those focused minutes day after day, the results will compound. You'll get better, faster. You'll learn what works and what doesn't. You'll develop muscle memory, mental sharpness, and personal confidence. And those things will start to show up in how you live and how you perform. Another thing daily practice gives you is momentum. When you show up every day, you remove the need to start over. You stay in rhythm. That rhythm builds energy. That energy keeps you engaged. And when you stay engaged, your growth accelerates. Momentum is the quiet force behind high performers. It's not just what they do. It's how often they do it. They don't let days slip away without progress. They make progress their habit. Don't worry about being perfect. Worry about being consistent. Perfection is an illusion. Consistency is power. You don't need to be the best right now. You just need to be better than you were yesterday. And if you keep stacking better days, you will look back one day and be amazed at how far you've come. But it starts with today. It starts with the decision to show up. Even if it's hard. Even if you're tired. Even if no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. That's when character is built. That's when real skill is earned. Improving your skills through daily practice also keeps you humble. You realize there is always more to learn. You stop feeling like you've arrived. You begin to love the process. You respect the craft. That respect keeps your ego in check and your heart in the right place. It reminds you that growth has no finish line. There is always a next level. There is always more you can become. And that hunger to become better is what keeps you alive inside. There is nothing glamorous about practice. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It's often unnoticed. But those who commit to it become exceptional. They rise above the average. They outperform their past. They grow into people who have something real to offer. If you want to be that person, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for permission. Start today. Do something today that sharpens you. Make that decision again tomorrow. And the next day and the next relentless practice means you're not waiting for convenience. It means you've made a choice to live with intention. It means you value your potential enough to work on it. That mindset sets you apart. Most people give up too early. They stop at discomfort. They stop when it's slow. But if you keep going, if you push through, if you stay consistent, you will reach a level that others only dream about. Not because you're lucky, but because you did the work. Day in, day out, quietly, relentlessly. Number 8, fight laziness by showing up. No matter what. If there's one enemy that steals dreams quietly, it's laziness. It convinces you that you can do it later. It whispers that one day off won't hurt. It tells you that the mood isn't right, or that you're too tired, or that you've already done enough. But every time you give in, it gets stronger. It starts to take control of your routine, of your thoughts, and of your direction. The most important discipline you can build is learning to show up, especially when everything in you wants to stay still. That's the true test of growth. Showing up doesn't always mean being perfect. It doesn't mean performing at your best every day. It means making the decision to be present, to stand up, to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. You can't wait for the right mood. The right mood is created through action, not the other way around. The day you decide to show up no matter how tired you are is the day you stop being controlled by temporary feelings. That's when you begin to build a foundation that nothing can shake. Every time you skip a task, every time you say not today, every time you choose rest over progress without a real reason, you train your brain to expect less from you. Over time, that becomes your new standard. You get comfortable doing the minimum, and comfort, when taken too far, becomes a trap. But the good news is this: the habit of showing up works in the same way. When you keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's cold, even when it's inconvenient, that becomes your standard. That becomes who you are. Someone who does not break under pressure. Laziness grows in the space between your excuses and your actions. The longer you wait to move, the heavier it becomes. But the moment you start moving, the weight begins to lift. The hardest part is always starting. Once you begin, your body and mind will start to catch up. You don't need to feel amazing to begin. You need to begin to feel amazing. You need to make movement the default response to resistance. When you make showing up non-negotiable, laziness has no place to live. People often think motivation is what keeps them going, but motivation comes and goes. If you rely on it, you will fail. What keeps you going is commitment. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself that you'll do it even when it's hard. It's the discipline to push through resistance, because the goal matters more than the mood. It's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about who you're becoming through the moment. That's where power is built. You need to make it personal. Ask yourself what matters more: temporary ease or long-term pride? Do you want the short comfort of skipping today, or the lasting satisfaction of staying true to your word? Every decision feeds one of those. You either feed laziness or you feed discipline. You can't feed both. When you feel lazy, use that moment as a test. Stand up and prove to yourself that you're stronger than that voice. One small action is all it takes to win that round. Then do it again tomorrow. Showing up daily also builds trust in yourself. The more you follow through, the more you believe in your ability to stay on track. You stop questioning your own drive. You stop second-guessing your ability, and that internal trust becomes fuel. It keeps you focused even when progress is slow. It gives you a sense of control over your life. That control leads to confidence. And confidence, not comfort, is what pushes you forward. You will always have reasons not to act. Life will never run out of distractions. There will always be something that can pull you away from the task. But those who succeed learn to shut that noise off. They learn to focus on what matters. They stop negotiating with laziness. They treat their routine with seriousness. And because of that, they get ahead while others stay stuck. You can't control everything, but you can control how you show up. That's your power. When you wake up and you don't feel like it, show up anyway. When it's raining, when it's dark, when your schedule is full, when your mind is full, show up anyway. That's where change is made. Not in perfect conditions, but in the hard ones. You train yourself for real life. When you fight laziness in the ordinary days, that's when you build something real. Something that lasts. Something no one can take from you. It's easy to look at successful people and think they have something special. But what most people miss is that these individuals don't always feel like doing what they do either. They face the same resistance. They feel the same doubts. But they made a decision to show up no matter what. And over time, that decision shaped their future. You have that same choice. Every single day. Don't let laziness define your life. Let your effort define it. Even on the days when progress feels slow, showing up is progress. Even when you can't give 100%, giving something is still valuable. The action matters. The intention matters. The habit matters. You're not always going to feel powerful, but if you show up through those feelings, you become powerful. That's how it works. Little by little, day by day, you fight the urge to quit. You resist the pull of comfort. You act when others stop. You move when others pause. Over time, this builds momentum. You begin to see the results of your consistency. Not overnight, but steadily. You start feeling stronger mentally. You realize you're capable of pushing yourself. And once you taste that strength, you'll never want to go back. You'll stop giving in to the old habits that kept you average. You'll start demanding more from yourself. But it all begins with one thing: showing up. You might not have control over how you feel each morning, but you do have control over what you do about it. You can stay where you are, or you can take one step forward, and then another. Laziness loses its grip the moment you act. Action is the cure. Action is the reset button. When you keep showing up, you break the cycle of excuses. You rewrite your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids. You become someone who leads, who follows through, who refuses to be held down by weakness. It's not about being superhuman. It's about being faithful to your routine. No drama, no overthinking. Just one decision made over and over again. You show up, you do the work, you trust the process, and you repeat. That's how winners are made. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things. By choosing movement over stillness. By choosing action over delay. By choosing strength over laziness. Number 9. Grow your confidence by earning every small win. Confidence is not something you wake up with. It is something you build, one step at a time, by doing things that matter. Every time you commit to a task and see it through, you earn a small win. That win tells your mind you are capable. It becomes a reminder that you can handle responsibility, that you follow through, and that your words have weight. Most people look for big achievements to validate themselves, but the real power is found in the daily victories. The ones no one sees, the ones that come from showing up, doing the hard thing, and keeping your promise to yourself. The way to feel better about who you are is not through external praise. It is through internal respect. And that comes when you do the work you said you would do. When you set a goal and you reach it, no matter how small, you gain trust in your own strength. That trust builds confidence. And confidence is the foundation for progress in every area of life. You begin to believe in your ability to grow, to face hard things, to improve, and to become someone you're proud of. A small win is making your bed in the morning. A small win is finishing your workout even when you wanted to quit halfway. A small win is studying when you said you would, turning off distractions, and being fully present. These moments may not seem significant when you look at them alone, but together they shape your identity. They remind you that you have control. They prove that you can stay consistent, and that consistency is what shapes a strong and capable person. When you earn something, it changes you. It gives you a sense of pride that no one can take away. When things are handed to you, they carry no weight. But when you earn your way through sweat, effort, time, and persistence, you become different. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop depending on outside motivation. You start looking in the mirror and seeing someone who works for what they want. Someone who has a track record of finishing what they start. The reason most people don't feel confident is because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They said they would wake up early, but they didn't. They said they would stop wasting time, but they didn't follow through. And every time you say something and fail to back it up, you damage your own belief in yourself. But the moment you start keeping those promises, even the smallest ones, you begin to repair that belief. And with each win, you create a new pattern. A pattern of progress. A pattern of discipline. A pattern that tells your mind, I can trust myself. Confidence is not built by pretending you're great. It is built by proving it to yourself in silence. No speeches, no declarations, just results, just actions, just steps taken, one after the other. Most people want to feel good before they start. But the truth is, you start to feel good once you've started. Confidence grows from doing, from building momentum, from stacking win after win after win until one day you look back and realize you're no longer the same person. Even on the bad days, there is an opportunity to win. Maybe you didn't get everything done. Maybe things fell apart. But if you still took one action that moved you forward, that's a win. And that win matters. You don't need perfect days to build confidence. You need honest effort. You need to do the thing that's in front of you. You need to stop overthinking and start executing. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Start with things you can control. Show up on time. Finish what you start. Speak with integrity. Do the things that scare you in small doses. Say no when it matters. Say yes to the work. Say yes to the challenge. Say yes to the responsibility. Every one of those is a win, and they all count. Your brain keeps score. It knows when you followed through. It knows when you took action. It knows when you stayed committed. And over time, that memory becomes your fuel. You don't need applause to feel confident. You need self-respect. That comes from seeing yourself do the hard things, from pushing through doubt, from doing the right thing when no one is watching, from standing up after failing, from sticking to your path, even when it's not easy. That is how you become someone you admire. That is how confidence is built, in the decisions that take effort, in the hours that test your will, in the moments when quitting feels easier, but you keep going anyway. The best part about small wins is that they add up fast. One leads to another. You drink water instead of soda, and you feel sharper. You read 10 pages a day, and your thinking gets clearer. You stick to your plan for 1 week, and suddenly you feel focused. These are not miracles. They are earned improvements. They are built through effort, and that effort will always pay you back. You just have to give it time. Nobody can give you lasting confidence. They can encourage you. They can support you. But at the end of the day, you are the one who must do the work. You are the one who has to show up for yourself. No one else can walk your path. No one else can do your push-ups. No one else can make your choices. You have to decide that your life is worth the effort, that your goals are worth the grind, that your potential is worth chasing. And once you do, every small win becomes a brick in the structure you're building. This is not about perfection. It's about direction. Are you moving forward? Are you trying? Are you learning? Are you staying honest with yourself? If the answer is yes, you're earning your wins, and those wins are building something stronger than you realize. They're building a version of you who doesn't quit, a version of you who is reliable, a version of you who can walk into any room and know you belong. Not because someone told you, but because you proved it. When you begin to value the process, the wins become even more meaningful. You stop chasing the big flashy result and start focusing on the next right step. That step might be boring, it might be repetitive, but it is meaningful. It is where change happens, and that change builds something more powerful than talent. Character confidence comes from knowing that your character is solid, that you don't cut corners, that you stay grounded, that you do what's necessary, not just what's fun. You want to grow your confidence. Stop talking and start executing. Pick one small thing you've been avoiding, and go do it. Not tomorrow. Now. Then do another one tomorrow. Then again the next day. That's how it's done. That's how confidence is built. Not in a burst of inspiration, but in the repetition of winning days. Days where you do what you said you would do. Days where you push past doubt. Days where you show up, even if no one's watching. That's where belief in yourself comes from. That's where power is born. Number 10. Break your limits by working harder than yesterday. There's a turning point in life when you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with who you were the day before. That's where progress lives. It's not about doing more than the person next to you. It's about pushing past your own limits, even if it's just by a small step. The question to ask every day is simple. Did I put in more effort than I did yesterday? Not perfection, not massive leaps, just honest, focused, steady improvement. When you wake up and decide to push just a little bit more than you did the day before, you create a new ceiling for yourself. Yesterday's max becomes today's minimum. That's how you grow. That's how you break through. No one else needs to know about it. You don't need to broadcast your progress. The world may not see the extra 10 minutes you spent, the extra set you pushed through, the distraction you ignored, or the extra chapter you read, but you see it. And that's enough to move the needle forward. Working harder than yesterday doesn't mean draining yourself. It means stretching your edge. It means being intentional. If you studied for 1 hour yesterday, go for an hour and 10 today. If you ran 2 miles, try 2.5. If you avoided the hard conversation yesterday, today you face it. These small acts build resilience. They strengthen the muscle of effort, and over time they shift your entire identity. Most people plateau because they repeat what's comfortable. They do what they know they can handle, but growth doesn't live there. Growth lives at the edge of discomfort, at the boundary of what you think you can do. To get to the next level, you have to challenge your own routine. What you consider your limit right now is just the point you've stopped at before. It's not fixed, it's not final, and it only becomes permanent if you choose to accept it. You don't need massive talent to work harder than yesterday. You need honesty. You need discipline. You need the willingness to test your edge. You need to stop making excuses. You need to stop saying I'm tired or I'll do more tomorrow. Tomorrow is not the measurement. Yesterday is. Look at what you did and decide you can give a little more today. Just a little more focus, a little more consistency, a little more energy. That's where momentum begins. Think of your limits like a line drawn in the sand. Every time you step past it, you redraw that line. And every time you stay behind it, that line gets reinforced. The body and the mind adapt to what you repeatedly do. If you push past your boundary regularly, your baseline becomes stronger. You'll notice that things that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. That's the reward of persistence. That's the payoff of working harder than you once thought you could. You don't need motivation to do this. Motivation comes and goes. What you need is commitment. You need to commit to becoming better even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's where discipline is born. That's where toughness is forged. Every day you push through the urge to stay the same. You break down the wall between who you are and who you could be. If you want to make something of your life, you have to stop living at your old standard. You have to set a new one. One that demands more from you. One that doesn't settle for average. One that holds you accountable to your potential, not your excuses. And the only way to hold that standard is through action, through daily execution. Through proving to yourself that you can go further than you did before. Nothing will change until you decide to work past what's comfortable. It doesn't take a miracle. It takes a decision A decision to show up differently, to think differently, to act with more urgency, to stop making space for laziness and start making room for discipline. You can't wait for conditions to be perfect. You can't wait for the right moment. The moment is now. The chance is in front of you. Take it, own it, make today count more than yesterday. You'll be amazed what happens when you keep raising your effort by just a little each day. Progress compounds. Strength increases. Skill sharpens. Mindset shifts. All because you refuse to stay at the same level. You chose to climb, step by step, and every step built a stronger version of you. A version that doesn't quit at the first sign of stress. A version that doesn't shrink back when it's hard. A version that meets difficulty with determination. There is no shortcut to excellence. The path is paved with repeated hard work, with focused effort, with the refusal to stay the same. Every day you do a little more. You separate yourself from the crowd. Most people give the same effort daily and expect something to change. But you're not most people. You're someone who sees the value in improvement. You're someone who understands that success is earned in inches, not miles. And you're someone who's willing to earn those inches, day after day. Working harder than yesterday doesn't mean burning out. It means being smarter. It means eliminating the wasted time. It means being fully present when you work. It means giving your best in the moment, instead of holding back for later. Because when you give your best now, your future becomes easier. Your goals get closer. Your confidence grows. And you begin to realize that your limits were just illusions waiting to be shattered. Don't waste today doing the same thing you did the day before. Make today matter more. Take what you did yesterday and beat it by just 1%. That's all it takes. 1% more focus. 1% more grit. 1% more time on the task. These small edges are what create separation over time. They build the edge that others envy but never earn, because they weren't willing to do the work daily. This journey is not about talent. It's about effort. It's about intention. It's about pushing through the voice that says this is enough, and doing one more rep, writing one more page, staying one more minute in the zone. That's the difference between those who improve and those who don't. It's not about who they are. It's about what they're willing to do. There's nothing wrong with where you are, but there is something wrong with staying there. If you know you can do better, you owe it to yourself to see how far you can go, to find out what you're really made of. And the only way to discover that is to test your limit, then test it again tomorrow, then the next day, until the old limit becomes laughable, until the person you used to be is a distant memory, until your new standard is something others look at with respect. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be better than yesterday. That's how you break your limits. Not by jumping 10 levels at once, but by climbing one rung higher every single day. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not massive action once in a while. It's consistent progress all the time. That's the secret. That's the truth. That's how real change is built, by people who are relentless enough to demand more from themselves with every sunrise.